So this morning and the afternoon I've been chairing the CIPD's Coach of a Business coaching conference here in London town. Really good morning. Absolutely jam-packed, so loads to really take on. The one thing that's really made me think about is this idea of sense making. For coaches to make sense, literally it's like the narrative of making sense of a conversation, the protagonist, the chapters, and that's a real core skill. And one of the things we've discussed and cropped up before in different ways, how as coaches, as leaders, managers, people who perform well, how we need to have a sense-making activity as part of our day-to-day. And typically that's something that outside of a professional work environment. So what can you do and what can you engage in where you're actually encouraged to sense? And one for me is about, one of my big things is running. And when I do that, I have to scan and sense body, heart and mind. When I feel great, I'm going, making sense of this. Why do I feel great? When I'm not feeling great on the run, same thing, I'm making sense of that. But why is that important? Well, I've given you an example. Yesterday we had a tricky situation with a client and I was making sense of it, and for me it accelerates the process from being quite reflective. When you make sense of something, you can just accelerate that in terms of the action that you might take. So my example yesterday, outside of the kind of coaching realm, but kind of prompted by today's conference really, was stepping into a conversation where A, I could do nothing, B, I could respond via email, or C, I could actually have a face-to-face conversation. And it wasn't really circling around me with the client, wasn't really my particular remit. And I thought, well, I'll do nothing. Quickly got over that, made sense of that, didn't make sense. I could respond via email. Email, I think, was the problem. Do not do that, it did not make sense. But it made sense just to have a face-to-face conversation, which actually seemed to improve relationships, shall we say, today. But long and short of it is thinking about, particularly today's coaching conference, is about sense making. It's very important, and how one can have an activity. It doesn't have to be running, it can be anything, where you have to sense, scan, be aware, and with that, potentially that can speed things up.